Cash flow on the beat.
All right, y'all.
We back.
We are back.
Scripting is where you take those actual things on your vision board and the things that you say that you want, and you go into detail. So like people have like journals and diaries and stuff that they have. And dear diary, today I dealt with this or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Well, scripting is where you actually take that journal or diary and you write your entire life out. You give the details. So what you do is you write your future as if it's present. So like I've been scripting for years. I started scripting back in 2013. And I meant to bring my book. I got this book and I said, okay, well, if that's a principle, let me try it out. I remember back in 2013, how old is my daughter? 6, right? It's 2022. Mm-hmm. So I had her in 2017. Mm-hmm. Back in 2013, I wrote in my book about having a little girl. Like, I mean, I just kept running, and I described her personality, like, just like how she is now. And the crazy part about it is the reason why it's so miraculous is because back in 2013, my doctor told me I was infertile, that I could not have children. And after my doctor told me I couldn't have children, I said, well, shoot, if this scripting stuff and manifesting stuff work, then let me see. And I just started writing about her all the time. And it's funny because I wrote that I was having a girl. And I remember when I got pregnant and my mom was just like, so you can't wait to find out what you having. I said, I already know what I'm having. And she was like, well, how you know? And I was only like about 3 months at the time. I said, I came up with her name already. God told me her name. And she was like, her name? And she said, how you know it's a girl? I said, God told me her name was Melody. Excuse me. God told me.
Sound like you about to cry.
God told me that her name was Melody Simone. He said, her name is one who hears beautiful music. And so I'm telling my mother this on the phone. I was only 3 months pregnant. And she's like, well, how do you know it's a girl? I said, I just know. And at the time, I had lost my scripting book. I had lost it. I had moved. And so months had gone by and I had to move. And right around when I was like 8 months pregnant, I found the book. And I went back and I started reading. And I said, oh, my God. I wrote this little girl into existence. Because by the time I was 8 months pregnant, I already knew I was having a girl. And I was like, oh my goodness. I wrote her into existence because I kept trying to figure out, how did I get pregnant in the first place? And my doctor told me I was infertile.
How you got pregnant?
Well, you know, you say that, but even my doctor was baffled. Because when I went back to her, she was like, I mean, she basically gave me the story that that God had given Sarah in the Bible.
Hagar and
No,
Abraham.
Sarah.
Yeah.
God told her that her womb was barren.
And she had,
That's what my OBGYN said. Your womb was barren. So I wasn't supposed to have no children. And so for me to go from having no children to me being pregnant and going full term, and I had the easiest pregnancy ever. And for me to go through all of that and go back and read in my scripting book that I had been writing about that little girl since 2013.
3 years prior.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years prior. Let me know that there was definitely something into manifesting certain things in your life.
And it's so cool to see that, because I was told the same thing. I can't have children because of my injuries.
I ain't never been
And
told
it's like, look, you gonna have plenty. That's what
Never
But
been
it's when I look at how I just thought about his name. His name was Joshua. That was after Moses. Because the synopsis of that is this: it's God, and then Yeshua, and then you got Moses and Joshua. But anyway, I just thought about that. I don't know why it came out in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, we have to be what we want. And in the word, it says that the first thing you have to do is you have to go without doubting. And speak things that are not as though they were. And a lot of us don't speak those things. And in speaking it, we don't believe. There's no power in our words. And even God himself, when he looked at us and we were developing, he said, they are like us. There's nothing that they cannot do. And if we're saying that we're from God, we are of God, and we have the same thing. So the first thing that God does is he creates, period. Mm-hmm. And we say that God equals love. And when we do things out of gratitude, we're literally doing it out of love. Mm-hmm. God does everything that he does out of love. He disciplines out of love. He punishes out of love. He gives knowledge out of love. He creates out of love. He destroys out of love. And a lot of the things that are happening to us, we're manifesting. And we're going, well, why is everything going wrong? That's the destruction period. Because those things should not be. I would not have the wife that I have now if I was still in the same marriages. Because I was choosing something that should not have been in the direction of my life. Mm. But I did that. And so a lot of things were derailed.
Yeah.
And I had to come into who I am. And a lot of us, we don't know who we are. The first, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
I love the point that he brings home. Knowledge of self. You got to have a knowledge of self.
Yes.
How can you have something and you don't know who you are?
Something like that.
How is it that you can, you want to be a race car driver and you want to do all these things, but you don't know who you are? A lot of us are writing down things that we want, but it's not us that want that thing. We don't have a knowledge of who we are to even know what we want. You have to understand who you are, because a lot of times we are writing things down that we want. And we say what we want, we say who we want, we say when we want it, but we never ask ourselves why. One of the most powerful things that you can ever ask yourself is why. You want that husband? You want that wife? Why? Why do you want it? And if your why is not powerful enough, you'll never have it. A lot of times we say that we want that business. Why do you want the business? Is it because social media told you should be a business owner?
The money, get all that money out
of it? Is that even what your personality? Some of us who have businesses, if you don't have that person in that support role, your business would have never worked.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And some people, one of the most powerful things that my mom told me about herself, they wanted her, she works the corporate and all of that, they wanted her to elevate. She's like, Tim, I don't want that. For what? They don't have no time for themselves. I got a mama to take care of. I got family that are sick. We got cousins. I got a little sister. What it mean for me to elevate? For what? That's not what I want to do. That's not my direction. And a lot of us don't state what we want to do and why. We want that promotion at work, but you're not ready for that responsibility.
So this still all is in the line with meditating and manifesting. Because the why determines the how.
Yeah. Woo.
And if you are not in line with all of these, it's messing yourself up. And again, I thank you, Temple. You talk about that why. And you were talking earlier about the vision board. I was laughing over here because I was thinking about the opposite of it. So the night he and I sat down, where I had my apartment, I was standing across the street from City Hall, had a corner apartment. And I remember we were looking over at the Braves. They had just won a game, and they had the fireworks popping when they were still downtown. So it was a beautiful night. We were just kicking it. And we both did a vision board. Yeah. And in doing the vision board, I did mine. And as long as I was focused, single, my vision board was working. Mm-hmm. But the problem becomes, and this is for anybody who's listening, so you always have the yin and yang. This is why there's a cocktail of the conversation, because it's a mixture of it. Tim gave you the part where it just was working and manifesting because he had meditated. Mine was there, but mine stopped for a moment because I had the wrong persons in my life. Mm-hmm. You can be on the right track on the wrong day and wind up in a crash. Mm-hmm. You could be doing all the right things with the wrong person and can't get nothing done because God does not want that spirit in your life because they're more of an anchor and a hindrance as you're moving. So until you remove this factor from you, you can't benefit and grow.
Well, let me put a little seasoning on that.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So the thing is it goes back to what Tim was saying earlier about being a vibrational match. So oftentimes the people that you surround yourself around also has to do with you being a vibrational match to what you want. So if those people don't align with the ideals and goals that you have for yourself, the desires, then they actually are assisting you with not being a vibrational match to what you want.
Repeat that. Repeat that. Repeat that. Because somebody listening is like, what? Repeat that for them, please.
Well, so the people that you surround yourself with, oftentimes, if you're not getting what you want, it's because they are causing you to not be a vibrational match to your desire.
Look at that, man.
So, for instance, let's say you were saying, I'm hanging around certain people. Most of the time, when you're hanging around those people tend to, if you express your desires, they tend to do things like try to talk you out of it. They have negative thoughts on whatever it is that you want to do. Oftentimes, they carry negative emotions like jealousy and envy based upon what your desires are. Or even if they're not envious because they can't see themselves doing it, they oftentimes are just naysayers because they can't see themselves doing it. Ooh. So you also have to align yourself with like-minded people so you can be a vibrational match to your desire.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the other part of that, of being a vibrational match, has to do with your emotions. So when you consistently have the wrong crowd around you and negative people, they tend to help you determine your emotions on a regular basis.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you are consistently having negative emotions, even things that you're telling yourself, those things actually keep you out of alignment of that desire. So it's very important for you to either find people who are like-minded on the same path that you are as far as your desire is concerned, or you need to do it by your lonesome. Remove yourself from anybody to keep them from deterring you from being a vibrational match to that desire.
You know what? I found that while you're going through your actual manifestation period, when you're bringing those things, I think that the hard times are the greatest parts. Because for those of us who, if you've been in business or you're doing something with your life or you're going toward a certain direction, especially if you are a winning person, people will connect to you. And a lot of times it's the wrong people.
Right.
They'll be like a leech. I guess I can use it like this. It'll be a leech, right? And you're praying for something and you've been doing your meditation and you're like, why is everything getting worse? And to me, it feels like, you like the heat's being turned up in the pool. And the thing about when you test a certain thing, like we talked about the diamonds and everything.
Yes, sir.
It's tested by fire.
Yeah.
And so when things get hard, things get difficult, when the money not there, when the deals done fell through, when the contracts done broke, the people who are not supposed to be there, they fall off. It get too hot.
That's it.
And, it fine-tunes you. Because, first of all, as those things happen, if you have the right people around you and you're still looking toward that goal and you can still see that light in the end of the tunnel and you feel good about it, I don't care what happened. I'm going to make it anyway. And you see it and you're smiling about it on the inside in their heart. What happens is those people who can't stand the heat, they're negative about it. And they don't like your attitude about it.
I'm going to go a step further. The heat actually determines the difference between a believer and a knower.
Ooh, girl, give me that.
No, it's true.
What I'm talking about.
So, if you just believe you can do something, when the heat come in, your belief will easily phase out.
That's right.
It'll fizzle.
But
if you know,
right. Hold on, I don't know about that belief.
Right. Yep. But if you know you can do something, it don't matter how much heat you get up under, you gonna know that you know. And can't nobody tell you differently. So then when you get in a fire and then you got like your naysayers and your and the doubters saying, well, you going through all these things. I don't think it was meant for you. But when you know it was meant for you, can't nobody tell you nothing. They just gonna sit there and keep talking, and you gonna keep working towards your desire. Or you will just sit still until it all unfolds. But you won't quit because you already know that that's what you're supposed to have. And that's really all it is. Like, if you just believe you're supposed to have something, you ain't gonna never have it.
Hey, so if I can put a little example on that one for you, and I remember the first show we talked about me doing the festival, right? And I spoke with you about this in one of our conversations. It was 2019, and we're in the city of Atlanta. It's a bunch of unity, but there's some differences and separation a lot of times. But 2019, we were getting ready for the festival. And I said at the beginning of the year, matter of fact, on my birthday, I said, I want all 3 radio stations at the event. And I remember the conversation. I love my father because he always speaks truth. He was like, son, I don't think you can be able to do that. He was like, I don't think you can be able to do that. Nobody did that before. I don't think you can be able to do that, son. So, all right. I mean, you can try, but, if you don't be upset. I said, no, I'm going to do this. Watch. And I said it again, and I'm saying this to say, but like Temple was just saying, sometimes the naysayer around you gotta cut the niggas off. Yeah. Because I said it again, and I'm not talking about my father in this regard. My father puts things in perspective so that you understand the opposition you're gonna go up against. So it's like your mother, when you're saying you're gonna do something as a child, your mother may say something to you. You may not like what she's saying, but she's giving you guidance that you may not see, but it's coming in the future. So my father told me, it may not happen, son, but don't be upset. I said, all right, I kept moving. And I said it again to like 3 other people because I was having a conversation. And then I kept getting niggas at that point. You ain't gonna be able to make that shit happen. You out your mind? Nigga can't. And then somebody else couldn't do it. I was like, well, I ain't them. And at that point I said, you know what? Bet. I don't need to keep talking about this one because if I allow you to plant seeds of doubt, you're going to kill my vision. And the only person who can kill the vision or change your vision should be you and God. So I was able to have the festival that year, had all three radio stations out there, and it worked very well. But again, it was going back to the voices around you, but it was a separation between belief and knowing. Because it got hot. I mean, it got very hot for me. I was trying to make this happen. And a lot of stuff came up that I never told people about. But it was like, I know I can do this. I just have to be able to make it work in a way that's beneficial for everybody. And that's that knowing part for me. Like, yeah, you gotta, I know I'm gonna do this.
Right. Let me tell you about a knowing situation I had. So, back in 2013, I worked in financial aid management. And so, it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do, but I kind of fell into it. Anyway, the job was really quiet. And so we crunched numbers all day. And I used to have to listen to the radio just to kind of keep myself awake.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, get this. So, like my coworkers and stuff, we used to huddle around. And so I remember December of that year is when Big Tigger moved to Atlanta, right? And they was making the big announcement. And I kept telling my coworkers, I was like, y'all, I'm going to meet him and he going to know my name, right? I'm walking around the office. I just kept saying this. And they thought it was so funny. They was like, girl, you're so funny, right? And so I said it for a whole year. And then, but I kept, and the crazy part about it is sometimes when we try to manifest something, we try to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So what I kept doing is I kept trying to make it happen. I was like, I'm going to just show up to this little club. I know he's going to be out there. Nothing happened. He was way up in some balcony somewhere. I couldn't even get close. There was so much security. It was ridiculous. And I just kept trying to make it happen. But oftentimes what you'll find is that that's not how you manifest. You can't just go out there and make it happen. life will unfold in a way to make it happen for you. So fast forward, like a lot of stuff had happened between 2013 and when this actually occurred. So 2019, I ended up working for Emory, and they hired me to do marketing. And they come in and they was just like, "Hey, Temple, we need you to do an advertising campaign." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And our program was for that dealt with like African Americans. So I was like, "Well, shoot, the biggest station out here is V103." So I talk to them. And my account manager is just like even how I manifested the money for that advertising campaign was ridiculous. But that's a whole other story. But anyway, I sealed the deal, and he says, "Okay, we need to get you a spokesperson for this advertising campaign." Now, I forgot what I said back in 2013. And I was like, "Okay, well, who'd you have in mind?" He was like, "You know what? We should get Big Tigger." And I was like, "Oh, God." And it started to hit me. I was like, I told people that this was going to happen.
He gonna know me.
I was like, hold on. So then I was like, okay, this about to manifest. So I'm starting to get excited. So, he's like doing the commercials for us and stuff like that. He was like, "Oh, Temple, you're going to have to go into the studio with him." I was like, okay, we planning it. And then the pandemic hits. I don't get the veto. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I was so close. And it never happened.
Yes.
So then, we started to have to do like virtual stuff. So I created this virtual show, and me and him is on once a month. And so like he's having to like introduce me and stuff. So he's continuously saying my name. And so like we chit chat before the show every once in a while, whatever. And so I was like, okay, so he knows of me. Cool. But I said I was going to meet him, and that has not occurred. So after that, I ended up getting another job. I said, oh, well, this ain't going to happen. And I kind of just forgot about it. And see, that's a part of manifesting. When you put it out there, you can't be considered, just keep worrying about it. You just got to forget about it.
Say it again. That's your word. That's her word with me.
You got to forget about it.
Her phrase.
And so, like, I moved on to the new job, and, I'm just doing the work. And then I ended up coming up with this tour in order for us to kind of get the program that I was working out there. And I go back to the radio station. I say, hey, I need to get you guys to help us out with this. My account manager says again, you need to get the hostess. I was like, who? And he was like, Big Tigger. So I was like, okay, great, whatever. I'm still thinking, this is not going to happen because I've missed the opportunity so many times. And it's crazy because we've been sitting in the same city and I kept missing meeting him. I go and do this tour. And the first time I actually met him was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I talked to him. I finally get introduced to him. He's like, "You Temple Jackson." He was like, "Oh my God, this is our first time meeting. I worked on so many things with you." And he says, "That's crazy how we live in the same city, worked on all these programs, and the first time I meet you is in another city." And so they asked me to go take him to a meet and greet up the elevator. And I'm taking him up the elevator. And then as we're getting on, he starts singing my name. He's like, Temple Jackson, Temple Jackson, Temple Jackson. I said, oh my God.
He knows my name.
He knows my name. And so the full thing manifested. I got a chance to meet him, and he knew my name.
Okay.
And so it was like the weirdest thing. But like some of the key elements that I took away from that manifestation is like, even though it's going to happen, I told everybody. Mm-hmm. I didn't keep it a secret. But then in addition to that, just because you don't see it manifesting right away, like you have to really just put it out there, visualize it, but then forget about it.
So can put some seasoning on your
Don't
meat?
put it on there.
So put some seasoning on my meat. Again, quote my daddy. So my daddy says it was not really from him. If you again remember the story of Joseph in the Bible, when Joseph was put in jail, Joseph gets put in jail, meets these two dudes. They have a dream, and he's a dream interpreter at this point. And I don't know if this is in the Bible, but it's in the Muslim.
It
Quran.
is.
Okay, it is. So one dude, he said, I saw birds eating on my head. Another one said, I'm serving wine. He said, well, you're about to get your head cut off. And you're gonna be you're gonna be the king's homie. So just remember me when you get in the house. Forget some. So then he goes in and comes, interpretates the 7 cows and the 7 ears and everything later on. So all that goes into this part. And you're manifesting. Forget about it sometimes. There are 3 visions that men can have, or 3 types of visions men can have. The vision of an ordinary man, the visions of a king, I think the visions of a god. I'm messing them up. The last 2 always mess up, but don't judge me. But I can explain them. So the visions of an ordinary man come to pass like that. You say, oh, I saw myself getting this car, and you get a new job, and you get a car next week. That's an ordinary dream. The visions of a king takes a few years to happen. 7 years and 7 corns, all that stuff. That takes a few years. Then you have the visions of a god. And I may be saying that the may not be God, maybe something else, but this is what it means. A person that may take a lifetime or a longer extended period of time for their vision to come about, because you don't have the visions of an ordinary person. Mm-hmm. So all that to say, when you're manifesting and you are meditating and you're having your visions, if your visions are aligned with your life, only if they're aligned with your life, and I may be saying it wrong, so Tim, we can check this. It may take longer for your vision to come about than what you think. So don't get deterred, and that goes from that belief and that knowing, because your vision, like you're saying, I see myself being a doctor. When I'm an adult, I'm a doctor, and I'm this, I'm that. Well, it takes almost 20 years to become a doctor. So don't expect this to be Doogie Howser. You wake up, oh, I'm 16. Why am I not a doctor? Well, that's not the road. But if you saw yourself as a doctor and God put that in your head, stay on the course. It'll happen, but it's going to happen in due time, because things done out of due season and due time do more harm than good. So stay focused.
But the other thing is for you to enjoy the journey of becoming the thing and the things that actually happen. Like, if you are supposed to have something in your life, right? Men don't marry girlfriends, they marry wives. But in order to be, if you see this man in your life, right? And he's this awesome guy, for you to become that woman, they used to teach finishing classes and classes for ladyship.
Yes, they did.
And they still do. You know, Nation of Islam has wonderful classes.
MGT. Shout out to my sisters.
In order to become that man that you want, and you're looking to have a wife, you have to become something. And things that take manifestation, if they're worth it, and they're big things, it takes development. You know, you don't just, and some things you're already ready for, you just aren't focused. But let's say you want to develop that thing in your life. You want to be that CEO. You got to get out of, I heard something today, get out of the hustler's mentality.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It goes back to what she was saying.
Good Lord.
Working hard is a hustler's mentality.
Yes.
But in order to be a great owner of a company, a great CEO, you have to learn how to delegate. You have to learn how to... I talked to one of the most unlikely people when I was in the Army. I was wanting to know how to charge different people and things. And I had been asking for it, but it wasn't until I was mature enough to have that conversation with somebody who was completely different, from a whole different background, whole different way of life. And he spoke very offensively. But I had to be ready and had to be fine-tuned to hear something offensive and not be offended. He was a country black guy. He'd never been around black folks. He wasn't saying anything racist, but he was very brash in how he talked. But he taught me so much about business. He said, you know what, Tim, let me tell you something. This is before the crash, after everything crashed in 2008, right? He's like, Tim, let me tell you something, man. When I was out there, I was working for myself, and I didn't realize I wasn't no business owner. See, man, I'm out there and I'm working and I'm charging folks by the hour. He said, I was making pretty good money. I wasn't making nothing, but, I make pretty good money, about $80,000, $90,000 a year. I charge folks, I had to stop working for this company, start working for myself, and I would charge people by the hour. And he said,
And as soon as I want to take a lunch break, they coming out there with, how long's your lunch? You've been eating for a while. It's just a sandwich. And then I go, why are you doing that? Because you can do that a little bit faster. Because they looking at their money. Because I'm being charging them by an hour. He said, but you know what I learned how to do? I learned to charge them by the job.
That's it.
I learned to charge them by the job because my time is worth more. And the thing that I can do he said, I would actually save them a lot of money by charging them by the job because I was fast. He said, I have the skill to do it. He said, but the job and the work is worth this amount. And that's what it's worth. If you want the job done fast and right and everything like that, I'll charge you for that. And he said that when he started building up his company, he said he was making $80,000, $90,000. He said he was working hard, right? Mm-hmm. He said, now, guess what, Tim? When I got folks to work for me and to take off of some of that responsibility off my back, and I got people working for me, I said, how much I made? I said, how much was made? $80,000, $90,000. He said the workload came off of my back and it was so much easier, and I was making the same amount of money. It wasn't until I scaled up and start releasing some of those responsibilities. Even always pause when he talks responsibilities. You understand that I was able to trust other folks. And what I got out of that is you might want something in life and it's big. But if you don't trust the people around you who are there, you manifested them in your life. Trust the process. Let it, like my daughter would sing, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You prayed for it. You know it's going to happen. Why worry about it?
Yep.
Why worry about it? If you are scaling this business and God has brought the right people into your life, they're not going to do things like you because they're not you. They're them. And they have their skills and you hire them for a reason. Let them do their job. My dad would say that all the time. My dad, master builder, shout out to Timothy Hargrove Sr. I did a job for him with him when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. He a Leo. He every bit of a Leo. And he was sitting around and we were doing something for this doctor. And he said, Tim, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? He said, yeah, I got it. He said, well, Tim, why don't you go ahead and do this? Who's that, your son? He said, yeah, that's my son right there. He said, hey, Nubu, that's, I forgot what his name, the doctor. He said, now, he said he retired, and he retired surgeon. He said, they call him to do all kind of stuff in their board meeting. He said, when they need to learn how to do a certain surgical procedure, he said, they still call you now. No. He said, yeah, I still do lectures. He said, but you don't know shit about building. Let me do my job. And a lot of us don't have that same principle. Let them do their job. When we are manifesting and we're becoming that, trust the process. Yes. And enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy your development. Enjoy that thing. Because it's in the becoming of that thing that you actually are that vibrational match. And it'll happen in due time, whether it's fast or slow. But it's the actual process and not the destination. That's really what it is.
I'm a go one up on that one.
Uh-oh.
So the reason why you need to enjoy the process is because if you don't, you're going to end up being stuck. Yeah. Because it all goes along with gratitude and everything.
Yeah.
If you can't enjoy and trust where you are in the process, then all of those negative emotions and feelings, that's what you're dealing with now because you're not enjoying anything. And once you get to the point where you're not enjoying it anymore, nothing can release. So you end up being stuck where you're at. So oftentimes when people are trying to manifest something and they try to figure out, why am I stuck? Where am I at? Because you're sitting there worried. Worry is a negative emotion. Or you sitting there frustrated, or you sitting there dealing with negative emotions that's not going to allow that thing to release itself. So it and it's really just like how they said in the in that movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Do you want to take the window or the stairs? Now you still gonna get there.
You're gonna get there.
But I mean, you could like tumble and go down hard. You know, you can do that way. Or you can just jump out the window and get straight to it. Like, have enjoyment and trust the process of just jumping out the window and getting straight to it. But if you want to tumble and hurt yourself a whole bunch of times, go ahead and do that. And, you can be frustrated and angry at folk and worried about it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to get stuck in one place when it comes to trying to reach your desires, and you're going to feel like it's going to take you years to get there only because you ain't even trusted the process. So, like, all of those things really help you as far as even being able to expedite the manifestation process.
A lot of us want it our way.
Yeah.
We don't just want the thing that we ask for, but we want it the way we want it. We want it to happen the way that we want it to happen. No, I made a plan, and God's supposed to go by my plan. That ain't the way it
No, he ain't
working.
gonna go by your plan.
Because first of all, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Honestly, a lot of us have not accepted the fact that we don't know what we're doing. We know what we want, but the way that things work out, it may happen a whole different other way.
Yeah.
The point is that we got it. It's like if you're a child and you're asking for something for Christmas, all a child cares about and is hopefully thankful for is that they got it. They don't know how you had to go work and get it.
Uh-huh.
They weren't worried about how you put in extra hours. They don't worry about how you took, consideration of what they were supposed to get or whether it was a. They just cared that you got it.
Yeah, they ain't know the mama
it
had
ain't
to go
their
get
business for how you went and got it. It's just, okay, well, I got it.
They ain't know the mama had to get a sugar daddy. They didn't know that.
But exactly.
Sugar daddy.
So it happens. But a lot of us, when we see something manifesting, there are things that we have to go through life that we don't realize. Hey, you know that best friend you got? They finna show you they ain't your friend.
Yeah.
You know that though you thought that you were going to get that promotion, you finna lose that job. But in order to take you from step A to step B, you said you wanted it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a cost.
Yeah. You might have to lose that job.
You might have to lose that job. You might have to lose that person. You might have to let go of that family member. I know you love your mama, but she don't need to be in your business right now. At all.
That's it.
In order for you to be that, to get that wife, you're going to have to let go of that temper. You're going to have to start planning your life. You're going to have to start letting go of who you were because that's not who you are. That book I was telling you know what? I got it. I just thought about something. That book I was telling y'all about. Here's the book. How to Get What You Want What You Have.
That's a rough picture.
Yeah, it's a rough picture. But he discusses something called the love tanks. So what he talks about is in order to have completion, right? Mm-hmm. That we have to manifest everything out of love. And when we're born from God, from pure love, and then we come into this realm, right? But as we are human beings, we need self-love, we need love of friends, we need love of family, we need love of the world, love of something that completely, totally depends on us. And he expresses, it's a whole bunch of different things. It's I believe it's like 9 or 10 love tanks. But he discussed them as a tank. Like imagine you had 10 love tanks. And they have a hole in the bottom. And in order to be fulfilled, you have to constantly keep these tanks fulfilled. And some of us have the career, we have the family and everything, and we'll neglect ourselves. Yeah. So we just feel that we've been given to the church and we've been given to our business and and we're like, well, why don't I feel happy? Because you forgot to pour into yourself. Or there's that romantic love, right? We're missing that. And so a lot of us get into, ourselves. We'll start loving on ourselves and everything else will be neglected. Yeah. And we're like, okay, well, I've been doing this for, why am I happy? Because you're neglecting those other things. Yeah. We're missing that relationship love, right? And we're missing that romance. And then once we finally get it and we start filling up a tank that was empty, it feels wonderful. Yeah. It feels like bliss. But when we neglect everything else, you haven't hung out with your friends, you ain't seen your mom in a while. And then that person will start asking, well, why aren't you fulfilling all my needs? They'll turn it on the partner because that's what they've been pouring into. Like, well, I'm not happy. You're not making me feel happy. But
only you can make yourself
happy. Have to do that. You have to fill up those tanks. You have to take time for yourself. And it isn't because it's that person's fault. We have to learn how to balance ourselves so that we're that match for the things that go. I think that was a powerful principle that he taught. Yeah. And there's so much more stuff. Get that book. If y'all have to get that book. I don't know Dr. John Gray. and not Reverend or Pastor John Gray, but Dr. John Gray. But he actually talks about manifesting in there as well. I didn't know he was a monk for like 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about how we now are going through states of meditation that took people years.
Yeah.
And people are doing it within days or weeks, or hours, and able to achieve something that took specialized training.
Yeah. I would really like for us to do like a focused conversation just on meditation alone, because there are so many elements to it that, like oftentimes I get questions about, well, how do I quiet my mind, or how does a beginner start, and then there's different elements to it, like when you get into the megahertz and the visualization practices and things like that. And so like some people are just touching just the hem of meditation, and they don't realize there are so many things that you can like embark upon through meditation. Like I've been studying what is it called? It's called the I want to tell you so bad. It's a project that this guy came up with decades ago, where he teaches through meditation you can actually teach yourself to use the left and right sides of your brain. Oh. And it allows you to be able to memorize things better, for you to be, and it's almost like, remember that movie that they had?
Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless.
Yep. That was right there.
That's on the pill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
drugs, people now.
Yeah, and really the concept is, I want to tell you guys so bad the name of it. It's where he teaches you how to use meditation in order to be limitless. Just like that. I want to tell you, like, hold on. Because I actually it's called the Silva Method.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yep.
Never heard of it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
So, like, Dr. Silva, years ago, he took his daughter, and what he did was he put her in a meditative state, like almost like a hypnosis state. And he did it through meditation. And then he began reading this book to her, right? And then, like, he would ask her questions. And, like, while she was under the state, she actually was saying the answers to the questions before he was saying the question.
Oh, man.
Like, it teaches you a method of mental telepathy.
Yeah.
So, like, he started to discover, oh, my God, she's actually saying the things that I'm thinking before I can even say it. And so it's funny because I discovered this a few months ago. And I remember when I first had my daughter, that, like, because it was, like, kind of a little turbulent, I would oftentimes do a lot of meditation. Now, she was an infant and she'd sleep in the bed with me. And so, like, I would be meditating while she was sleeping. And, like, oftentimes she does this thing where she can, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I've watched her do it. Like, a person will ask her a question and she'll sit there and quiet for 1 second, and then she answers it in a way in which it would be what they would have said, instead of, like, I remember we were at Taco Bell. We were in the line, and the girl at the cash register, she was like, oh my God, you're so cute. She says, what's your favorite Disney princess? And my daughter's sitting there quiet. Now, I know for a fact that her favorite Disney princess was Elsa for Frozen. And so she's quiet. I'm like, why she ain't answering her? And so she looks at the girl and she sits there and look at her. And then she said, oh, it's Cinderella. And I'm like, and I wanted to tell her so bad.
Why you lying?
And then the girl says, oh my God, that's my favorite Disney princess. And then after that, she just starts giving her things.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, I've witnessed my daughter do this to people a million times.
She hustling.
Yes, she is.
You know the hustle.
I mean,
How
like,
to manifest a hustler.
and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, how did you know that that's what they were thinking? And so when I came across the Silva Method, it made me think that all of those times when I was meditating and she was just laying in the bed as an infant.
She was absorbing.
She was being affected by the meditation because I had the music going, and oftentimes I would do it at certain megahertz and stuff like that. And she was just asleep. And I'm sitting here like, how's this girl's mind so advanced? And here it is, like she's saying stuff that people think, and they're astonished by it. It's amazing. Like I be seeing their faces, and they just like how's she know? And I'm sitting here like, oh my God. And so I believe that, and I'm just like embarking on it, but I do believe that the Silva method is something that people can actually use in order to advance their knowledge, their children. And we can, if we did it collectively, we actually could advance society.
I don't know nothing about the Silva method, I ain't gonna lie. I always go back to the basics of what I know. So I know where we're taught how to give birth to a God.
I was just thinking that.
Yes.
While I was just
when
thinking
you
that.
did, if you've never heard the lecture, again, Minister Farrakhan, go pick up the lecture, go on YouTube. It's a 3-part series. It's very powerful. We talked about writing Melanie into existence. When I got my children, their mothers, I told them the day they got pregnant, either one of them, I looked at them and said, you're pregnant now. No, I'm not. You're pregnant. Anyhow, but then I told them exactly, you're going to have this. We'll have a son, we'll have a daughter. So it was kind of weird, but to other folks, but again, how to give birth to God. When you write this into existence, you know. So the same thing what you're doing with the Silva method, the most powerful person in your individual world, to me, I'm trying to put this in a way, but one of the most powerful person in a child's world, that's it, a baby's world, is the mother. Especially while the child is in the mother's womb. Because the child's mind is a blank tablet. And whatever you are thinking, concentrating, dealing with, you're writing on the mind of this child. So when you have these children that come out look like grown babies, like they've been 10 years a slave.
Y'all strong face.
Right. You call them strong-faced babies. But you look at the mom, what was she going through while she was pregnant? And everything that mom was going through is now written on that baby's face. And then you look at the mother who's having issues with the father while she was pregnant. Not all the time, but quite often, you can look at that baby's relationship, not the child as it goes older, but the baby when it comes out, their relationship with that father. And it's like, the mother's disdain for the father's down the child. So the baby, every time, the baby can be calm as all get out. But as soon as you put him in a daddy arm, or the person that she had an issue with, the baby want to fight. So it's the Silva method. We say it like that because I like the way it's said. We got about 10 minutes left for this one. And first of all, let me say this. So we as adults have to be careful what we focus on. Going back to this whole show, this thing about cocktails and conversation, about me, period. I really talk in circles. But if you follow the circles, always in the same area. And we, on cocktails and conversations, even though it's myself and Brother Tim, and we bring on whatever guests, we always stay on topic, but we paint pictures so that those who are listening all can understand what we're saying. And with us manifesting and staying on meditating, you got to be careful what you're thinking, who you invite into your circle. Because I know earlier we were talking about the vibrational levels. And I'm saying this because earlier I was, a sister wrote something on Facebook, whatever, was asking a question about, she's 22 and what'd she say to me? 22 years old and I am getting tired, but I'm celibate. I don't want to be having sex till I'm married. But every time I go out, I'm dealing with these same dudes and I'm attracting this. I said, well, sister, not everybody that's in your vibrational attraction do you need to allow in your circle. Because not everyone's for you. Yeah, we may be attracted. Opposites attract. But don't mean you have to come in and deal with me because, a crackhead to be attracted to a clean person. You gonna let the crackhead in your house? No, because not everybody is for everybody. So as we're meditating some more to manifest a bigger level, be careful what you bring into your circle. Mm-hmm. Be careful of those you're dealing with, because you only want going back to what you said it. I've been quiet most of the show for the most part, because I've been enjoying the conversation, especially I'm getting to know Tim more as we have these podcasts. You said the point about, damn, I forgot the point. Well, anyway,
well, I'll jump on it. Because the thing is, she went through beautiful steps of how to get to the point of manifestation.
Right.
And I think that the most important part is appreciating once you get it. A lot of us in the mind of God, and the mind of any parent will tell you, especially a father, once I give you something, some of us have already manifested the things that we asked for before. Mm-hmm. Mm. And manifestation is an ongoing process of gratitude.
Yes.
And like, you may want something in your life now, but at one point, what you have is what you asked for. Mm-hmm. A lot of us take our gifts and our blessings for granted. A lot of us are blessed with beauty. A lot of us are blessed with a sound mind. Mm. A lot of us are blessed with beautiful skin, or our children, or the jobs that we have, or if you don't have a job, the time to reflect. A lot of the things that we have in our lives were in something that we prayed for. And even if it's the lights on in your house right now, or that cell phone that you got in your hand, you prayed for. You know, at one point you didn't have that, and you prayed for it. So when you manifest that new thing, it's important to continue to give thanks for it, so that you can appreciate what you have.
That's right.
Because there'll always be another goal or another thing. Once you get that business, you need to appreciate God for that business and those employees. Once you get that husband or that wife, you need to be appreciative for those children in your life, or for those friends that you neglect, or those, those things that you have, because that goes into ongoing manifestation of what we call happiness. Mm-hmm. And really, happiness is a state of mind. The state of mind and saying that I am enough.
Drop the jewel.
Yeah.
It's the state of being completely satisfied in the now. Mm. And a lot of us are chasing something that has not happened, that may never happen, but just being a blessing and say, hey, it's the now that I'm appreciative of.
Well, to add to that, it actually reminded me of a book that I read years ago called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, never read it.
But it's really going back to what you're saying as far as learning how to appreciate where you are right now. Like, a lot of people, what they do is they're still living in their past. Mm. So like any past traumas and stuff that they've ever dealt with, like they don't realize that those things, even though they made you who you are, they are not valid today. Man, so the thing is like, but those people are still trying to be, those people are still trying to define themselves
via those
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is like, we as people have to learn how to let go of things that happen to us, and just understand that those things that happen to us are not the definition of who we are. They're just things that help to define the person that we are today. And if we can live in a place of right now, not the future, because I know there's things that you want, but even in those things that you want, that doesn't mean that you live for those things. You only live for this present moment. And if you can stay in the present moment, then that always allows you to have an attitude of gratitude, because you'll appreciate like the people that you're around, every moment that you're around. Like, people don't know how to just sit down and enjoy the moment. Like you said, they got these phones, and what you find is like when people are at dinner and when they at precious moments that they actually should be taken into themselves as far as internalizing it as a memory.
And saving it.
Yeah, and saving it as a memory. They're too busy trying to memorialize it in their phone. And oftentimes they miss the actual moment themselves. Like they're not in the moment. They're present, but they're not there. And so what people have to understand is that
Your body's healed,
right,
but your mind is on the other side of town.
What you doing? You're messing me around.
right.
But it's true.
Like they be right there, but they're not present. And the thing is, it's like a part of manifestation is being present in the moment. Because how can you appreciate moments if you're not there?
So true.
And so, like, that's my ultimate takeaway for every day. I try to now live my life being present in that moment. Like you said, people pray for things and they be like, oh, I want this and I want that. But then when it's there, they don't know how to appreciate it being there. Like people that ask for kids, like they praying. And then every time you turn around, they talking about these kids getting on my nerves. Now you prayed for them kids. And now all of a sudden they just getting on there. Remember when you prayed for them.
And the thing is, with me having a 20-year-old, they don't stay kids long.
No.
It's like that. And any older adult will tell you, well, I read an article about this guy who missed his whole child's life. And next thing you know, he was at retirement and everything that he worked hard for, his daughter's wedding come up and he didn't know his daughter. And, when we want to talk spiritually, if you are God himself and you bless your children with something that they prayed for and they, and it's mine, so what? And they keep on going and they don't appreciate it, why would you give them anything else? There's no appreciation for it.
That part right there, brother. That part right there.
What we all have to get used to is in the state of our own being. Is right now, I can appreciate living in the country that I'm living in, being surrounded by friends and loved ones. A lot of us, I got bills to pay. You be happy that you have bills. Because there's somebody who wished that they had bills.
That's right.
Me being in case management, it's a lot of people who wish that they had those troubles that you had on the job because you got a job.
Right.
It's a lot of people who wish that they could say that, hey, man, I'm having all these problems with my kids and you don't understand my kids. They don't have kids anymore.
Damn. There's a sister. I'm sorry. I was at all freaking places. Church's Chicken the other week. But I was not getting food from me. I was getting somebody else. Just being nice.
He had to put that out there. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. But I pulled up to the window and there's this young brother there and tied it up. I'm always embarking conversations. And I saw this name here, saw another name on the hand. I said, brother, what's that mean? What is that? What does it mean? Oh, he said, this is my brother right here, and this is my other brother right here, and this is my other brother. I'm looking, I said, okay, why you got your brother's name on your hand? He said, because this is my brother died when I was 12. My other brother died when I was 15, and my other brother got killed last night.
Oh.
I said, damn. I said, so how many brothers do you have? Oh, I'm the last one.
Wow.
And then I asked, now you done got me interested. So how do y'all die? Everybody died the same way. Got killed by mistake.
Oh, wow.
I said, man. Now I'm like, how's your mother feel? Oh, my mom is not concerned about me because I'm the last one. So appreciating life, being present in the moment. Because he then started talking about his brother and how he missed his brother. And they had an argument, but, I'll give back that time just to see my brother again. Just present in the moment.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
A lot of us, when we are appreciative for the things that we have, it allows us to be in that mind state of happiness. And I think happiness isn't this just huge feeling, I am just so overjoyed. No, happiness is being able to be settled and complete with where you are.
Yeah.
And that comes with total acceptance. And a lot of us, when we worry and we have all this anxiety, we're not trusting God. You have no faith. Like, you ever see somebody work a job at a high price company? They're not stressed in, man, they said they was going to pay me on Friday, and I wonder where my check is. It going to really be there on Friday? And your check going to be there, right?
I'm good, yeah.
When you pay Georgia Power and you hit that button, you have all knowing that light gonna come on.
Right.
When you sit, it's just one thing. When we go in our car and we crank it up, we don't have to have faith.
At least got a jalopy.
Yeah, unless you ain't been getting that oil change. But for when we do our end, that's my point. Is when we do our end, totally and completely, when we've paid our mortgage, when we've done what it takes to make things happen, we don't have a worry about it. And even if something does go wrong, like a thunderstorm kicks out, right? And everybody's power out. You have no doubt that your power coming back on because you've done the work.
Right.
And for us, we have to make sure that with the things that we're asking and we're manifesting and we're feeling good about it, and do the work so that you have no doubt.
And with that being said, we're right about our time. First of all, Ms. Temple, thank you for coming. I know we interrupted the hell out of your show, and we kept doing it, but this is really just the introduction. And when you dropped your seeds, especially on this show, you gave the final points on how to start this. So I pray that you are going to come back and join us again.
Absolutely.
And like you said, the next one's do a course. This was just introduction, so everybody can know who you are. And we got the understanding of meditating and manifesting. The next time, we're going to shut up.
I want to learn about this meditation.
Right. We're going to go through the course of meditating on the next one. And this will be able to help not only us, but everyone that's listening. You can help a friend. That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, again, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you get some last words. And actually, you don't want to close this out today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me today.
Hold on, we got this.
I can't. You gonna do it.
There you go.
But it's been a pleasure just sharing with you all. Like I mentioned before, there are many steps to being able to be the point where you can manifest the life that you want to live. I've been able to do it. And I remember distinctively the time in which I was able to do it. And I even have witnesses. It's funny because when I began, like my really focused part of my life of manifesting, I had friends to go along the journey with me. And when I was teaching like the principles of it, it's funny because they were just doing it just as support. And they started to see themselves manifest things as well. They were just there. And it was like, oh my God, they're coming back, running back to me. Oh my God, Temple, this works. The very thing that I said I wanted to do. I mean, it's just unfolding. And like, I even learned some things in order to expedite the manifestation process. So I would love to come back and share these things, these practices. I think that a lot of times we kind of talk about meditating and manifesting in general. And, people just throw the buzzwords out there, but they don't know the practicality of it. And I think that it's very important to cover those foundational principles in order for people to understand how to apply those things directly to their own lives. So I welcome the opportunity to come back and talk.
So how do people get in contact with you? Because they're going to want to know, and I'm not going to be the one to give them the information.
Oh, my God.
Just being honest with you, I don't know.
Well, they can go to my Facebook page and leave messages. I have a page called Manifesting Mondays. And so, or they can send an email to info@Manifesting Mondays. And the Mondays is with a Z. So it's MANIFESTING, Manifesting Mondays, MONDAYZ. So if they want to, .com. Okay. So if they want to send an email, they can send an email to info@manifestingmondays.com, and I'm more than
happy
to help them be able to achieve the life that they want to have.
So with that being said, one last thing. So I remember the other show. I called, Sarah said we call him Pastor Tim.
Oh.
The boy actually is a pastor.
No. I was a minister.
A minister, my
I didn't have my own flock.
Okay.
I was a minister.
He's a minister. So that's what
I was.
Minister, darkness. Minister.
The darkness.
I was. And I still keep those same principles.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we have to learn is that we all minister in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some of us, our life is our ministry. Now, it's up to you whether you want to minister something negative or positive, because some of us are an inspiration and some of us are a lesson.
You better preach on that.
Hey, with that being said, this is Yusuf Muhammad, Cocktails and Conversation. If you ain't what?
You're not having fun, you doing it wrong.
And we having fun on the show, so we out here. I told you I like that laugh. Cocktails and Conversation. We done. Thank y'all for joining us.